Is big tech facing a legal reckoning? We have a major legal settlement out of the state of New Mexico, and it impacts a big tech giant, Meta. Now, Meta is being accused of facilitating or turning a blind eye to child predators on the platform, and they're being told to pay $567 million to an abatement fund that is to go to the victims of the social media platform's practices. And this is in addition to about $350 million that have been paid out already into this abatement fund. New Mexico is seeking at least $6.2 billion. So this is a legal earthquake. It is akin to the big tobacco cases that we saw in the late 70s and early 80s. Now, this is sending a chill down the spine of Mark Zuckerberg and other big tech elites. For too long, they have engaged in practices that are highly suspect when it comes to turning a blind eye to child predators and other bad actors on the platform. And so they're being called to account by at least one state. There are 3 others that are looking into legal action against Facebook and Instagram. They have turned into cesspools of quite questionable content that is not appropriate for young children. And the real question about all of this is, where is it going? Are we going to see a censorship bill proposed by the DSA under the rubric of protecting children? And this would call for a form of social identification, digital ID, and credit scores that would also be a way of enforcing and protecting the children. That is one of Nancy Pelosi's favorite lines. So there is a double-edged sword in all of this. We want to see children who are victimized by social media platforms get the help that they need. But is it a corporate responsibility issue as much as a parent responsibility issue? I think that it goes hand in hand. Both can be culpable for children that have fallen victim, not just to predators who have faked identities online in order to trick their prey, but also because of the psychological damage that is being caused by social media. That when you look at TikTok, when you look at Instagram, when you look at Discord and other social media platforms, they are filling the void that a lot of children feel from the lack of parental guidance and also leadership from adults. They are not having normal childhoods anymore, where they are being forced outside to play with other children, heaven forbid, and engage in social activities that mold them into adults that know how to deal with other human beings. And so now we're seeing that the Facebook and Instagram companies are being held to account by at least one state, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a message to big tech that they need to be very careful. But one interesting thing about this lawsuit is they were not requiring them to change their algorithms, which I found interesting because it would violate Section 230. And this is very ironic because Facebook and Instagram, their algorithms are quite questionable to say the very least, and they are making children vulnerable and exposed to all sorts of content that is causing psychological harm. So the pros and cons of this are quite evident, but in general, we need to do a better job parenting our children and keeping them away from the screens to the extent that is possible, and encouraging them to do things that don't require being on a computer or being on a phone. That is a root problem in all of this. So you are very justified in believing that parents should be held accountable for the harm that happens to their children, but we also need to police the bad actors and the criminals out there and hold big tech companies to account if they are allowing this to take place on their platform. So we'll see how the rest of these lawsuits play out, but this could be the beginning of something very interesting because of the unintended consequences, or the intended consequences of these lawsuits may lead to a form of digital ID or social credit score. I think that Britain, well, it's the canary in the coal mine, and the communists that are running that country, they have a plan in place, and they want to see our freedom of speech shut down. That is basically required for their socialist utopia. read all about it in George Orwell's 1984 if you haven't had a chance already. So weigh in with your own thoughts about this story. We always appreciate hearing from you at the Becker Brief.